Namaste, my friends, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Victor, and I help people navigate through their ascension process. And today, I'm going to share with you 7 tips from the trenches that will help you avoid ascension burnout, avoid that mental, physical exhaustion that seems to just happen randomly in your life. A lot of it is due to the energies, I admit. However, you can make some adjustments that will help you not get so burnt out. You will notice that you are maybe a little bit physically compromised due to the energies, but in knowing that, you can make these 7 adjustments and avoid, again, getting extremely burnt out. For many, many years, I did not do these things, and I would get just out of commission. And I was in my early 20s when this really hit me hard, and I would be literally unable to do anything. I would just sit on the couch all day, and even laying there on the couch felt tiring. I remember I would just take these random deep breaths, like I was running out of breath just sitting there. It felt like a lot of it was due to me not admitting and accepting more so the situation and then acting accordingly. So anyways, this is not going to be a video that's like, what do you do if you're burnt out? This is going to help you not get so burnt out from this point forward. These tips will work. Number 1, this is a big one. This is very applicable specifically to the ascension, is when you're riding high, tame yourself. And what I mean is there are times when you maybe just recently cleared a blockage or something, and you feel extremely connected, extremely passionate, just like you're zipping around, fueled with your own spirit energy, and everything's like just magic and flowing. Beautiful. That happens sometimes, but here's what I've learned is that same energy that gives you energy, if taken to the extreme, which is oftentimes happens because it just feels so good and you don't really feel like you're getting tired, what goes up must come down, and you will eventually burn out big time. That same energy that's lifting you up and riding you high will exhaust you. And it's not, I'm not saying avoid the pleasure of flowing around like that. It's that just tame yourself. For example, there are random times where when I shoot a video, I get myself into such a degree of the zone that in the past I would just shoot like 7 more. I felt so good and I felt so great. And as I would get into my 3rd and 4th and 5th video, I could feel my body was just wearing down, like I was just getting closer and closer to that fatigue feeling. And I would keep going because it still felt good. I still felt in sync. But by that 7th video, I was just exhausted. And that's a metaphor for how I used to live my life. I would do that same thing. I would just, again, flow around high on spirit, as I sometimes would call it, and burn myself out. But that could be easily avoided by just reining your whole, taming yourself a little bit. Leave a little gas in the tank. Number 2 is to allow yourself to periodically ground yourself when it feels appropriate. And I was just talking to one of my clients today. He said, Vic, the strangest thing, man, this guy's like a nutrition expert. He's a really just a healthy eater. I'm always learning from this guy. And he was saying, the weirdest thing happened, Vic, today. I forgot what he ate, what he chose to eat, but he got the idea to eat some chocolate and some chili, some vegetarian chili or something, he was saying. And that, for him, that's like unhealthy and heavy. He did that, and then he also watched the movie Bad Boys. He just watched like a regular old, like kind of an action movie. And normally this guy's like, he's really just embraces the spiritual journey, and his whole life is pretty much founded upon his spiritual journey. But he felt like he was just wearing out and just not feeling as balanced and grounded. And he said doing those earthly things made him feel so much better, so much more connected, ironically. Sometimes you can get over the top, again, with the energy. And it's just not, it will exhaust you, and it will also make you feel ungrounded and unbalanced. I took this to the extreme many years ago when I moved down to Florida to kind of go into my own like hermit phase of the awakening, where I withdrew from society quite a bit. I was eating a raw diet. I was decalcifying my pineal gland with all these different supplements. I was doing Bikram yoga all the time. meditating all the time, and I was even sun gazing, and all cool, all very spiritually stimulating activities, of course. And in the beginning, I felt great, I felt amazing, but before you know it, I just started to feel just exhausted, unhappy, unbalanced, very dreamy, very heady, tons of the chakra blockages, and I was a real mess. I was not a spiritual asset to anybody, not even myself. And what cured me was eating heavier foods, chilling out on the Bikram yoga, enough of the sun gazing at that point. And then I started to feel like really good again. So sometimes if you find that you're naturally craving earthly types of indulgences, indulge, because you are on the earth plane, and it is kind of a fine dance to balance the spiritual with the physical. A lot of times we tend to neglect and ignore and deny the fact that we are in a physical body presently. We kind of have to honor that from time to time. Number 3 is to get yourself in shape. I have a new program coming out in a little while called Ascension Fitness, and I'm going to share with you the 3 main components that you can apply now without even checking out the program. It's founded upon 3 principles that will help people, help you get in shape, improve your fitness, with factoring in the whole ascension process into the equation. Meaning, there are some things that don't really work well for people who are going through an awakening that work great for most other people. For example, really high intensity interval training and just any extreme sorts of exercise or diets. Those, they can produce fast results in most people, but people who are going through the ascension already have a lot going on with them and it can burn them out. Anyway, so the way I would recommend improving your fitness is by strength training, lifting heavy weights. It will increase the integrity of your central nervous system, as well as add lean, dense, functional muscle to your frame, not in a bulky way. It's also not as taxing on your body as some other modalities. You can improve at that consistently even while going through the extremes of the process. Secondly is LSD. I don't mean the drug, I mean it's a personal trainer term that stands for long, slow, distant. It's a form of cardiovascular training. It is where you basically go for a long distance at a relatively slower pace. So a nice long brisk walk, a 45-minute walk where you're walking quickly but not quite to the point of jogging. That puts you at the optimal heart rate range that will increase your cardiovascular system, because it allows your heart to kind of stretch to pump that blood. And anything beyond that brisk walk will start triggering other energy systems in your body to help fuel the exercise, and those systems tend to wear it out very easily. So you want to get to kind of that threshold. So by doing what I suggested, you will improve your cardiovascular fitness, which will help you a lot. It'll just help you have better lung capacity, your heart will be stronger, a stronger muscle, and it will just help reduce your susceptibility to being drained. And then thirdly, I'd recommend eating a sufficient amount of protein. Now, I know so many people have these opinions already. I can feel it. It's a very hot topic. It's a very opinionated debate. And I would recommend, for one, honoring your body, because everyone's body responds differently to varying amounts of proteins. But generally speaking, most people would do just fine with about 0.83 grams per pound of body weight. And if you have over 50 pounds to lose, take that 0.83 and multiply it times your goal body weight. That's a pretty middle of the road amount of protein. There are people that say you can get by with 10% of your diet needs to come from protein, and that's it. And that's true. You can survive on that. But having worked with many people, that is far from optimal for most people. And especially those going through the ascension they can use the extra proteins. Your body's doing there's a lot going on. Okay, and anything beyond that figure, unless you're really competitive with your weight training or something, usually it's just unnecessary, and at times could even be unhealthy if you're not drinking enough water. So anyways, those are the 3 things I'd recommend to help improve your fitness that will make a big difference. Number 4 is another gym term, like a personal training term, but it's more applied in a general sense. That's to deload. Deloading is it's something that high-level athletes do, and strength people who are exercising do. Every once in a while, your body, there gets to a point where So to see improvements in your fitness or your athletic pursuits, right, you have to add a little bit of something to make it harder and harder and harder on yourself. But you can only do that for such a period before your body becomes unable to keep up with the demands. At that point, usually 8 to 12 weeks, they'll do a deload week where they will just reduce what they were doing and let their body kind of catch up. You might find yourself having to do this in more of a practical and general sense in your own life. Maybe you're going through a period with a lot of movement, a lot of emotional purging, and you're finding yourself very exhausted and your body's not keeping up. Then you got to deload something. You got to take out some source of stress in your life temporarily to let your body keep up. Whether it be, I'm going to call into work today and take kind of a mental health day, or I'm going to use some of that vacation time, or I'm going to avoid. For me today, I applied this to myself. I was in the gym and I could just feel that my body was at that point where if I would have continued, it would have done more harm than good. And as hard as it is for me to like miss a workout, I did. So that was my form of deloading. So sometimes you just have to honor where you're at and where your energy is at, and as best you can take out something to allow your body to kind of recuperate. Number 5 is to be realistic. And what I mean by that is, I know for a long time I was frustrated and in denial of the precarious energy situation I was in. Meaning, I was annoyed that I had these, so I would get randomly fatigued. It like pissed me off. So I would kind of ignore it and suppress it. It's ridiculous, I agree, to go, like for me, whenever I would go to my wife's family gathering, they would just, for some reason, they would just like really suck the energy out of me big time. And even though just standing around chatting for like 2 hours, I would be just beat. And if I had other things on the schedule to do later that day, even though it doesn't make sense that I would be tired, I would just burn myself out. I would get so pooped, and I just kind of, again, I denied the fact that those kinds of situations, even though it didn't make a lot of sense, they did in fact drain the crap out of me. And in ignoring that, I suffered as a result by getting really burnt out. Instead of taking a nap after the gatherings that would have probably perked me right up, I would go and do what I had on my schedule regardless of how my energy was, because I was pissed off. So be real with yourself. If you're feeling tired, you can ignore that, but you're just going to probably get more tired. Number 6, it can be helpful at times to limit your consumption of stimulants. Like for me, it's caffeine. I went to a point where even like raw cacao, which is kind of a mild stimulant in its own right, that would drain me. And other things are stimulating, like just going online, all the different colors and textures and the small fonts and the TV and just all of that can be kind of stimulating and trigger that fight or flight response within your body. But that is also getting triggered just by you confronting challenging emotions and going through life. One who's awakening, your own regular life demands tend to do that. So it can be smart sometimes, even though it's habitual for a lot of people and they're feeling run down, to have more coffee. That doesn't really give you actual energy. What it does is kind of like squeeze out. It takes a greater percentage of your reservoir of energy, your finite reservoir of energy, and squeezes it out in the temporary, and afterward there's an inevitable depletion. And actually, in reducing that, letting your nervous system kind of like heal itself in a sense, you'll find yourself with more of a sustainable and more of a balanced, evenly distributed amount of energy. And 7, this is something that works very well. You can apply this today, I bet, and notice the difference. That is to meditate before going to sleep. Meditation has a million benefits. I won't get into that, but doing it before bed, it just helps you sleep more restfully. It makes a big difference in just relaxing. You can feel it. Whether you feel like you're good at meditating or not, a lot of people I find, they judge themselves as not being good at meditation. Ironically, those are the people who should just do it more. But anyway, even if you're good, or you pick any of your guided meditations or whatever you want, regardless, it's going to have some sort of relaxing effect on you. And instead of going to bed after looking at your phone by the light, you can slowly drift off to sleep with your body and nervous system and mind relaxed, and you will sleep like a baby. Unless, of course, you're going through the whole Kundalini process, then you're not going to sleep regardless. But either way, for most of you, meditating even for 5 to 10 minutes before bed will make a big difference. Anyways, all those tips, you can take whatever resonated. You don't have to do them all. I'm not perfect at doing all of these. It took me a lot of years of being stubborn and, again, sort of denying the fact that I was in this situation before I started to apply these. But now I get tired. My energy fluctuates, but not at all to the extreme. And it's not because, oh, Victor's ascended, he's done. No, I am subjected. I am being stretched by these energies. Just like you guys, I've learned to kind of roll with it. I've become more aware of what's happening with me, and then I act accordingly, even if it can be a little bit of an inconvenience. So these 7 things are exactly what I do when I feel like I'm about to get tired, when I feel my energy is compromised. I do these things right away to avoid the inevitable burnout. And it's helped me tremendously. I wanted to share that with you. I hope it helps you guys. I will talk to you in the next video. I'm getting hot. I gotta turn the air conditioning down in my camper so the sound's fine, but you can probably see I'm like sweating, so I'm gonna bounce. Have a good day. Namaste.